Right, my name is Don Casper, right, and I'm kind of new to this. I'm going to be doing like a little video blog about this car here as I try to angle my arm around. There you go. This car here, which is a Volkswagen Phaeton. It's a 2000 plate, and it's mine. I've had it for about four years or so. It's obviously seen better days. It's going to see a few more better days, I hope. But what it is, this blog's basically going to be about just generally the ownership and what it's like to have a VW Phaeton. There's a lot of, the interesting story about this particular, not so much this particular car, but about this brand of car, this model, if you like, which is, it might be interesting to some. So, I'm trying to, as I angle everything, as you can see, I'm kind of new to this, but we will move forward and I will improve. Okay, so let's kick this off. Right, so what we have here, like I said, is a VW Phaeton, right? It's a turbo diesel V6 3 litre. Yeah, it's a 3 litre, and it's been mine for about 4 years or so. I've only done about 20,000 miles on it. It's got 120 on the clock, and you know what it is, right? I've got to do a little bit of running around. Well, yeah, and it's just an opportunity just to basically start it up and get things moving. All right, so yeah. Right, so what it is, right? This car's actually been sitting here, I did say, for about, it basically sits here. This is its home, if you like. Doesn't get driven that often, especially because of the COVID scenario. And yeah, so it's basically been sitting up. But what I do try to do is try and start it up at least once a week. Give it a little roll around, so nothing really seizes up on it, and the battery doesn't die on me, because this car actually has two batteries. It only shares that common denominator with Bentley, the Bentley Continental, which the Bentley Continental GT is actually based on this particular car, or on this model of car. So yeah, it has quite a bit more in common with it. I mean, people who drive Bentleys don't really like to admit to it, and people who drive Phaetons will always talk about it, and those in between will generally laugh and think, I'm trying to, I'm losing my mind with it all. But anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to start it up. It tends to start up, that's generally how it generally starts up. I'm sure when I first got it, it was a lot better than that. Because this car hasn't been driven, turn the music down, because this car hasn't really been driven that much, right? It's basically showing signs of not being driven, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more of an in-depth review on this car once I've sort of like done all my running around and all of that business. But for now, right, we're gonna start rolling. Okay. But you know what, right? This car it hasn't really let me down. It hasn't let me down. I mean, I'm going to go into a little bit more. Oops. Right, that's the wipers there. As I was saying, this car hasn't let me down. I think when I first bought the car, when I first bought the car, a month into it, the throttle body, okay, the throttle body sort of like died. That was where I had a heated conversation with how can I put it? Yeah, okay, let me start that one again. Yeah, so when, as I was saying, right, when Oh shit, should I start again? Oh no, I'm not gonna start again now. Yeah, so what it is, right, when I first got this car, about a month into its ownership, the throttle body died, and so that meant another a trip back to the dealership. We had a heated conversation where initially they weren't interested in doing anything, but eventually they began to see, or they saw things my way. So basically that was, you know, what we in now, so that was 2017. That got sorted. October, I had the car back, and from there onwards, it's been cool. Car's behaved itself. It's got me to go, well, it's got me to wherever I've gone, back home, without incident or, you know, issues or any sort, and it's been cool. So, you know, that's, you know, I could say that the car's been great on that front. I've got, what, 120, just under 121,000 miles on the clock. I've only done about 20,000 miles on the clock since I've got, well, just over 20,000 miles on the clock. Got this at 99,000 on the clock, and it's been cool. Having said that, you know, there are a few things which are not as they should be. But, you know, hopefully in time I'm going to be able to resolve all those issues and bring it back to its past glories as such. Yeah, so that's it, really. It's been pretty cool. Pretty cool. So what I'm doing now, I've got a little bit of running around to do, and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done. Right, I'm back, and I'm back outside the house. Right, I said I'm going to do a nice little review around the car, show you what this car's all about. My Volkswagen Phaeton 2007 3.0 TD6 V6. Beautiful car, absolutely beautiful. Right, so here goes a nice little walk around. I'm gonna just try and pan it out here. It's, I forget what colour it is, like a silver, a brilliant silver or something another. Can't remember. I will let you know in due time what it's all about. And it's, you know, looking at it, right, it's actually in pretty good nick, right, behind the front wheel. If you're looking at that front wheel, that is actually a Bentley front wheel. The story behind that is that I was driving one night and I caught the centre reservation on a dual carriageway, and it basically bruised my tyre. And when I went to replace the tyre, it turned out that rim had been cracked about 4 times and repaired about so many times. So what it is, got a friend who's got a Bentley. He actually gave me one of his rims. Hence the reason why I've got a Bentley front rim on there. Now, right, so when it comes to this part here, well, what you can see, that is a panel which is similar to that, but as you can see, it's proper corroded. Right, and so what it is, it looks in terrible shape actually. So what it is, they eventually come off. Anyone that has a Phantom will tell you that is one of the issues that they have, what these cars actually have. It's in the boot somewhere. Body wise, it's got a bit of corrosion, as you can see, and it's all along there on the rear door, down by the door sill. You can't, I mean, it's only when you come up close you actually notice it. That's also a problem with the Phaetons. What it is, the doors are aluminium, but when you mix metals with aluminium, they corrode. That's what that's all about. As you can see, car is pretty dirty, because it's parked underneath the tree. But when it's washed, and it's not going to be washed today, next week probably, that'll all be sorted. As you can see, the corrosion again. These panels come off eventually, and they cost a fortune to put back on, because what it is, if you can see, those parts there are rusty. Well, those are plastic actually, but what it is, these kind of grommets come off, and that's it. Like that one, if you can look at it, it's proper gone. But yeah, that's pretty much what happens from when they drop off after a while, and that's it. And then you got the corrosion, which doesn't, it's actually got a lot worse actually. Had a problem reversing in one of those car parks, and I almost took my mirror off. As you can tell, took the lens off, absolutely. The rims, these rims are, you know, they need to be refurbished, obviously, but they're not the strongest of rims, actually. Like, you know, the rear, not as bad, but still need a little bit of refurbish, a little bit of tender care and loving. But, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, some will say it's not too bad for what we're in. This is 2007, we're in 21, so that's 14 years old. This car's 14 years old, so it's not too bad. Right. Let's take a look inside. Right, so it's not a bad place to sit and drive. Right, as you can see, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm going to get in there shortly. Right, the rear, not too bad. Not too bad. You know, so anyway, getting in here. Right, I'm going to try and, yeah, that looks better. I'm trying to pan in and out actually. I think that's the far it's going to go. Right, so looking at it, right, right, let's look at the controls. Right, so this is the center. Right, I'm going to have to put on my glasses because I can't see absolutely anything here. I don't even know if it's right. Right, so looking at it, right, should I turn it on? Right, so right, this is the panel, the notorious, when I say the notorious panel, when the engine's on and your heating or your air conditioning's on, depending on how it's set, those panels actually slide up into the dashboard. This panel, that panel there, and this panel slide up into the dashboard. As you can see, this is the cluster. Right, your clutch, you've got your rev counter on your left, speed on the right. You've got your petrol and water temperature in the middle. You've got your oil temperature at that end, that side, if I can go in there. Right, and on that side you've got your electric. Right, so that's the panel. Everything's off at the moment. Right, so what I'm going to do, I am going to switch it on. Get the keys on. Right, so everything comes on. Volkswagen comes on. Right, so those all my you know, everything working how it should do. There are no error messages, warning, anything. That red light is just basically my seatbelt telling me that I need to put on the seatbelt because it thinks it's going to drive. As you can see, those panels have now lifted up. Right, I should actually show you what it's all about. Right, so as you see, it's dropping. Right, now the infotainment system, but you've got your AC. Right, that's your AC there. There's a reset. Right, air conditioning. Okay, reset, air conditioning reset. Don't know about that. phone, it's not hooked up, hence the reason why I've got a Parrot. The Navi does work. It's a bit old school though. This is probably one of the things which basically, you know, it's old school. It's one of the things that shows this car's age, basically. Incidentally, this system here is actually in a Bentley Continental. It's identical. Buttons are in the same places. Everything is identical. It's just different buttons, different fascia. But, you know, the actual mechanics of it or the electrics of it is actually identical. Right, you got your radio and TV at the moment. It's basically telling me about the CD players, what's in the CD player. You got your settings, which you know, there's multiple functions. You know, that's setting up the clock and everything, going back. You know, your maintenance. That's for the wipers. So whenever you're changing your wipers to go in a semi sort of like accessible position, if you like. You've got your dark mode, so when you're driving and you don't want the glare of your infotainment system, you know, the sort of like, yeah, it's just black. So when you're driving at night, right, and you just don't want the infotainment system on or anything on, you just want to basically just drive without too much light. That's that. Switch that back on, right? You've got your vehicle. Now, this the option is that, you know, you do get tire pressure monitors. This doesn't have it. Oops. You've got your traffic information that works when your radio's on, if it's been set up. It hasn't really been set up. You've got your onboard PC, which is basically like your like on the right column is obviously down to your mileage, fuel economy, you know, average speed and so on and so forth. Basically self-explanatory, long-term statistics. So basically it gives you an idea of what you've done in the past over a duration of time and so on and so forth. Manual, there's usually a CD which basically comes up manual, but that's not in the drive at the moment. And then your help, should you have difficulties with any aspect of this, it will help you. Right, so let's say, oops, thinking it's touchscreen, it's not touchscreen. Right, let's put it back onto something that's familiar. Right, so that is that panel there. The bottom panel is basically your music, so you've got your F and AM, your TV, which it's not hooked up to. Then traffic news and stuff on that comes through, your CDs. Those are the numbers of the CDs that are in the charger. So you've got 6 there, so you know, if you press on number 3, then disc number 3 plays and so on. That's your fast forward, or should I say your reverse and your fast forward, your balance, your fader, and your music. Right, so what it is, it hasn't got a premium system. When these cars came out, right, apparently these are meant to have some of the best systems in a car. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Maybe then, definitely not now. So going back onto that now, so what you do have is, right, you've got your treble, mid-range and your bass. That's how it's actually set at the moment. Right, on the top though, right, you've got your temperatures. So this is 4-zone. This car has heating for 4-zone. You can actually set it up for 4-zone, right? So at the moment, right, you got that happens, you know, yeah, coming from the front. Switch that off. Fan speed, that's your toggle for the fan speed. That controls everything, but if it's off, it will only control other functions. So you can control the rear temperature, which come out the vents at the back. When we go in the back, we will, you know, we can take a look at that. And then you've also, you know, going back, then it's the front, you know, so we turn that off. That's, I think, your circulation, auto, temperature. Now these vents here are all independent. That's your general heating, you know, general heating, which is going to be pushed out. But what you also have is these vents can be individually set, heating or cold, or should I say off, or that's, yeah, the strength of those fans, that controls that. And you've got them on all. Right, you've got sort of like ashtrays, 2 ashtrays down there. That's your V12, also for cigarette lighter and all of that. That one there's for your windows, your mirrors, beg your pardon. So what's it, your left and right, turn it over to the right, that's set now. That puts on the heated ones, and when it comes to swinging around, those are folding, so they're self-folding. Right, you got your, this car comes with heated, right, I'm going to switch this off, don't need it on at the moment. Right, this car comes with heated and cooled seats in the front. Right, you got your suspension here, which lifts and lowers, your ESP off and on, and your height. So what it is, that one is basically the firmness, so you can actually set the suspension to, hold on, switch it on. Right, so at the moment it's set to comfort. Right, use the toggle, which, you know, speed sports. I used to drive this in like that setting, which is like semi-sport, but at the moment it's set to comfort. So right, and so that's it. So when it comes to storage, it's got a bit of storage. You've got your storage bins there, you've got all your window controls, child locks, your boot release, which is automatic, and your fuel gauge control, central. So basically all the locking for the door, so that locks the door, that unlocks all the doors and so on. Right, pretty much in this, right, the glove compartment, it's fairly big. Right, so what you actually have in there, that's your sat nav and that's your CD player. Right, so your discs are in there, that's your disc changer, that's your and your sat nav in there. Right, right, we got the controls up on the roof. Right, so that was on. Right, so you got your main ambient light in there. Right, you got your spots for each side. Right, that has it's got my good luck store in there, right, but that's for sunglasses. Right, let's take a look in the back. Oh, incidentally, before I take a look at the back, now this car comes with 18-way electric seats. That is familiar because that's directly lifted from Bentley. So when you look in the front of a Bentley, or even on the back, you're going to see that control panel. These seats are basically Bentley seats, just a different look on them, but pretty much the same as Bentley. So obviously that's like for the backrest, that's for the base, seat base, that's for the front here, this is for your headrest, that's your massaging, and basically, you know, up and down. This one there, this control, these controls control this, your seat belts, and that's, yeah, and that's that. Right, sitting in the back of this, right, now that front seat is actually set, I don't know, yeah, can you see it like that? Yep, that front seat is actually set to me. Now I'm only 5'6", but even if I was 5'8", 5'11", 10, 9 foot, whatever, right, this car actually has quite a bit of leg room. There's plenty of room, right, and yeah, it's all good like that. You've got vents all over the place in this car, right? Nice little thump. You got vents there, you got vents there. You got your window controls there, right? Also locking mechanisms for the door. Remember, once upon a time you used to have those little pins that used to, well, not anymore, right? Your storage doesn't flip, but what I've got in there, because, you know, I believe in luxury, I've got tissues and I've got an umbrella, and that's in all the doors actually, strangely enough. An umbrella that goes in there, sits there. Tissues, nice and neat. Individual ashtray for a lighter or to charge your phone or whatever. Put a charger thing in there. That's the storage. This has always been like that. It's never shut since I've had the car. And then you've got another power point there. And it's the same thing on the other side. You've got your bin storage there. It's nice. I think, is that leather? Feels like it. Right. Right. So this can actually is set up as a 4-seater. But should you need someone to sit in the middle, then you got your headrest like so. Right. Now, right, even if you sit in the middle, it's not too bad. Obviously, you know, it's you know, obviously it's only designed for short journeys as such. I don't know if I'm actually doing this right, but when it comes to, you know, long journey paths, but you've got plenty of leg room, but you have to bear in mind, right, that that's how you'll be seated. So if someone else sitting on the ends now, you're sharing that footwell, which may be a little uncomfortable for either yourself or the person sitting here. But, you know, short journey's fine. Right. Right, let's knock it back to how I normally have it. Right, so you've got your armrest, got all your, you've got a little bit of storage here, I've got all my tissues, I've got some air freshener for the car. Right, you've got cup holders there. I forgot to tell you about the cup holders in the front. And that's pretty much the rear. Right, in the there is an option when, like in the Bentley, when you get in the thing, that headrest rides up in the Bentley, but in this it doesn't. You have to do it manually if you need it to do it. It might even be automatic. I may not just know where to set it up, but that's generally that. Right. Right, so we're back in the front. Right, I didn't tell you about the storage of some of the things in this car, kind of, you know what I mean, state of the art. So those are cup holders, right, which, you know, when they're not in use, are actually flush with the center console or the center panel, and that storage there, it's got all my crap in there and so on and so forth. What can I say? It's got crap, but it works. Right, press the automatic button for the boot release. Right, as you can tell, this car is like a bit of storage. So I've got my golf clubs, and I've got various things in there, my cleaning product, cloths and so on and so forth. But I will clean out this boot and I'll show you how big this boot is. It's pretty large. Right, that's that. There we go. Happy days. Right, and that's it really. When it comes to my Volkswagen Phaeton, it's got a bit of crap there. Get rid of that. Oh, underneath the bonnet. That'd be a good spot to place. Like, this car seriously needs to clean. Right? It'll probably happen next week sometime. Right? That wheel's been there forever and a day. Oops. Right, just gonna park up the car, and that will be it for this little presentation, this little podcast, this little video blog, whatever you want to call it these days. This is it. Until next time. So with that, I will see you next time on the flip.